Well, Mick, you mentioned transfers there. One name that's come up over the last 24 hours is Jacob Breum. I don't know if I'm butchering his name. The Danish winger who's at Go Ahead Eagles in the
Yeah.
Netherlands. Do you know any more about it?
Listen, this is one that came up about 6 weeks ago, I think. It kind of, I think there might have been tentative approaches then, and nothing much kind of since. So, yeah, I think he's another name that's been bouncing about for a few weeks now. It sounds like his club are wanting a hefty whack for a guy who's, listen, sounds like a good player, but I don't know if it's what Celtic want to go to at this point in time. There is they've got quite a few players and they're kind of tiptoeing and dancing around right now, Celtic. I mean, the Balak Wisher one's not going away. Again, the thing with these things, the prices are starting to start to come down. The more desperate these clubs are to sell them, or there could be more interest and the price goes up. So it's a weird kind of dance they're doing right now, Celtic, and it happens every kind of year. You get this kind of wee lull period after the initial kind of burst of signings, and then it's like a wait and see, and then they'll start to kind of ramp it up.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to happen soon. I think Brendan Rodgers is now getting to a point he really wants these guys in the door because he is light. So I think you'll start to see him. I mean, I think he's been quite calm about it. We'll ask him again tonight, and I'll be interested to see how he responds to it tonight because he's been quite chilled out about it so far. I think you might see a wee change. I think he might start ramping up a wee bit himself. Listen, it's time to get the pen out, get the chequebook out, and get these deals over the line.
Well, Mick, it's kind of 10 days to curtain up in the Championship defence. So,
yeah,
I think in an ideal world, Brendan Rodgers would have already had the guys that he was looking for. They'd be in the door. They'd be part of this camp. So they're allowing this to get away from him a little bit, but it's not for the first time. We have seen it previously.
No, but listen, you look at the players that have come in and it's been late in windows. I mean, last year it was Trusty and Engels and McCown in the last few days of the window. You go back, even a couple of years ago, you get Cameron Carter-Vickers was a midnight signing on deadline day. It is a pretty common occurrence. So it can take time, and sometimes it's worth waiting for. But I think I think that the start of the league campaign is a bit of a false kind of impression because it's a Champions League playoff. That's the one. I think you want them in the door. You want them playing 2 or 3 weeks in domestic football so they're ready for that playoff because that playoff is the be-all and end-all.
Yeah.
It's absolutely massive. So, yeah, I think you're right. I mean, the cut-off point in terms of league, I don't think it's that much of a line in the sand. But
but you need to get them bedded in.
Get them in, get bedded in, yeah, exactly.
On the Breum stuff, Jacob Breum, Mick, John writes in saying, why are Celtic wasting time with paltry £1.5 million bids? How would they react if someone bid £5 million for Maeda this summer? It's just a complete joke. Yeah. I think you summed it up pretty nicely, though.
Yeah, but listen, as I said, a tentative approach 6 weeks ago, and you get test the water, and then you find out that's the kind of value. It might not. Listen, you need to be careful. It might not be worth £5 million. I mean, fans jump on these guys and go, "Oh, this guy sounds like they're going a world beater." Listen, this Feast Garden was the one for 18 months was the answer to everything, right? Oh, he's worth pay £12 million, but he goes for £7 million, and it turns out Celtic after a while thought, well, I'm not sure he fits into where we play anyway. So you got to be careful on that kind of stuff as well. That fans are so desperate for any signings, they get a name and they run with it, and the guy gets better by the week. Do you know what I mean? It's like this guy's a superstar. This guy they're chasing, and it's not always the case. I might like the sound of him, but there's plenty of other guys in that same bracket as well. So yeah, I wouldn't get too hung up on some of these names.
A couple of other bits and bobs to do with Celtic. Kwon never managed a competitive appearance, but he's away to FC Nantes. Seems like a good move for him. And Jeffrey Sloop. Jeffrey Sloop's apparently signing for Norwich.
Listen, fair play to Jeffrey Sloop. Good luck to him. Came in, had a good game against Bayern. Apart from that, wasn't very good. But a nice guy. Done what he had to do. I don't think it was ever realistic him coming back anyway.
No.
In terms of Kwon, I mean, never really done it. I think he's one of the disastrous debuts. Was it not in James Forrest's testimonial? Was it one of the Spanish teams? Bilbao, he's 45 minutes. It was horror show stuff, and never seen again. I thought he done all right at times at St Mirren and Hibs. I thought he looked all right. Maybe kind of found I think maybe final level, but he's got a good move. I mean, I think he's technically pretty good. I think the hear him scaring world of Scottish football wasn't really his kind of forte. But he might flourish in France. But a good move for him anyway.
One of the names that obviously Daniel you have fixated on, Evan Ferguson, as he's finalised a 1 season long loan deal to Roma today. I think there's an obligation to buy at the end of that. Is it an obligation? But I mean, you did tell us, Dan, this is one you backed. You said you can take this one to the bank. At the end of this transfer window, he'll be a Celtic player. Hasn't really worked out the way you envisaged.
I don't know what's going on tonight, Keith. You keep breaking up. But anyway, Mick, no, he's apparently it's a €40 million option that Roma have.
Bit of an obstacle.
Might be a touch outside Celtic's budget, but we'll see. You never know.
Yeah, you get. Listen, there's certain stories that fire out about in July, isn't there? And then by the time you get closer to August, the reality bites in, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think a lot of these guys in the English Premier League as well, you have to remember, these guys are on money that is beyond comprehension to us in Scotland. I was talking to the guys at Newcastle, and they were, and a few friends I know from down there from my time working there, and he was saying, "Oh, what about this player? This guy who do a job for Celtic." And I was like, "I'm sure he would, but what's he on? They're like 75 grand a week." And I'm talking like reserve goalkeepers and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, mind-boggling figures. So you can forget all that kind of stuff sometimes.
We've got a couple of people asking, Mick, if there's any whispers that you can tell us about Brendan Rodgers and possibly Daisen Maeda signing the new deals. I feel like I've asked this, ad nauseum, but anything else you can tell us in regards to that?
Daisen Maeda, they've kicked off talks, and that's the phrase is their talks are kind of began, ongoing, in discussions. He's got 2 years left, so it's not like a gun to anybody's head at the moment in time, but they want to get this done, I think, in this window. Otherwise, because his value is probably as high as it can be at this point in time. Mm-hmm. But I think they've started. It depends on a lot of things. I think keeping him in this season is huge for Celtic. I mean, I know it's an old cliche, but if they can keep him through this window, it's as good as a signing. But he's the guy that absolutely sets tone for the whole club. I think losing Kuhn was a blow, but not that big a blow in terms of money. Losing Maeda for however much money they make would be absolutely a massive blow.